Boom. When the massive supreme Dharmakaya shattered into countless points of light, both Mu Chun and Lu Yan's bodies trembled, and they staggered backward, their figures appearing somewhat disheveled. Mu Chun forcefully stabilized his body and slowly wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth. His black hair and deep black eyes returned to normal, clearly indicating he had emerged from the heart demon state. He calmly gazed at Lu Yan, though his heart was slightly shaken. Lu Yan's strength surprised him. Originally, he had thought that after using 200,000 supreme spiritual liquid to catalyze the second yang power of the 9 yang divine art, it would be enough to suppress Lu Yan. But who would have thought that Lu Yan, too, was no weakling and had actually withstood the celestial sun golden seal activated by Mu Chun's dual yang power? While Mu Chun was still processing this shock, he had no idea that at this very moment, Lu Yan's heart was storming with turmoil. His body trembled uncontrollably, his eyes flickering with shock, fear, and disbelief. The result clearly exceeded his tolerance. In past battles, even when facing a 4th grade supreme, once he unleashed the blazing heaven feathers, the confrontation would usually be over. So, when the blazing heaven feathers appeared this time, he had thought Mu Chun was as good as dead. However, the final outcome didn't unfold as expected. The Mu Chun who should have died had, at the last moment, launched a counterattack so terrifying that it made Lu Yan feel a deep sense of dread. In the end, it was only by using the full force of the blazing heaven feathers that Lu Yan barely managed to resist. He knew very well that if he had hesitated for even a moment longer, the result would not have been a mutual defeat, but one injury and one death. How is this possible? Lu Yan muttered in a pale voice, his lips twitching. After a moment, his gaze turned vicious as he looked at Mu Chun, a strong killing intent surging in his heart. Mu Chun's display had made him feel an overwhelming sense of threat. This young man, though younger than him, exhibited combat power that was not far behind his own. If given another year or two of cultivation, he would likely surpass him by a wide margin. Only now did Lu Yan understand why the great Luo Heaven Domain had sent someone who was clearly only a 3rd grade supreme to participate in Dragon Phoenix Heaven. With this level of strength, even a 4th grade supreme would struggle to shake him. Do you still want to kill me? Mu Chun had sensed the intense killing intent in Lu Yan's eyes and couldn't help but smile faintly. But do you still have the strength to do so? Though he, too, had suffered serious injuries, it was clear that Lu Yan had reached his limit. Lu Yan's eyes turned cold as he gritted his teeth. His gaze flickered, and his palm clenched slowly. Bang! However, just as Lu Yan was preparing to take action, a massive sound suddenly erupted. A huge shadow fell from the sky, landing on the peak of Bone Mountain. Lu Yan's eyes shot toward it, his pupils narrowing, and his face uncontrollably filled with horror. The giant shadow was that of a huge blood-red python, its body covered in scales, and a terrifying murderous aura emanated from it, revealing just how ferocious this creature was. But now, this fierce creature's scales were shattered, and blood flowed like a stream, staining the mountaintop. The massive body showed no signs of life. Hiss! Outside Bone Mountain, the onlookers gasped in shock, their bodies trembling as they recognized the creature. This blood-red python was none other than the Crimson Blood Divine Python. And here, there was only one Crimson Blood Divine Python, ranked 9th in the Dragon Phoenix record, coming from the Serpent God Temple, Qi Shui. This meant the lifeless Crimson Blood Divine Python on the mountaintop was none other than Qi Shui. Qi Shui is dead. This shocking turn of events sent a chill down Lu Yan's spine. Even the experts outside Bone Mountain couldn't help but feel their scalps go numb. Although Qi Shui was ranked only 9th in the Dragon Phoenix record, in a battle, even Lu Yan would feel some caution. While he might be able to defeat Qi Shui, killing it would be an extremely difficult task. Mu Chun was also momentarily stunned as he gazed at the massive serpent corpse. However, before he could speak, a delicate and graceful figure suddenly appeared above the serpent's body. Cai Xiao, with her snow-white bare feet, lightly stepped on the enormous snake's head. She then elegantly crouched down, gently patting the serpent's head with her jade-like hand. A small, 7-colored snake slithered out of her sleeve and bit down on the snake's head. Hiss hiss. In an instant, The massive serpent's body began to shrink at a visible speed. Within just a dozen breaths, it was reduced to a shriveled, desiccated corpse, as if it had been dried in the wind. Countless onlookers stood dumbstruck at the sight. The small, colorful snake lifted its head in satisfaction and flicked its tongue at Cai Xiao. She smiled softly, reaching out her hand to gently stroke its head. Then, the snake lazily slithered back into her sleeve. After completing these shocking actions in full view of everyone, Cai Xiao finally stretched in a lazy manner. Her slender waist and graceful curves were incredibly enticing, but at that moment, no one dared to look her way. It was clear to them that, in this place, the most terrifying figure was this mysterious and beautiful young woman. Is it over? Cai Xiao looked up, glancing at Mu Chun and Lu Yan. She then smiled at the former, her lips curling slightly. I didn't intend to kill him, but his mouth was just too foul. I got a little careless. Mu Chen's lips twitched slightly, and he gave a dry laugh. Qi Shui was truly out of luck. Normally, his filthy words might have been tolerated, but to dare act so recklessly towards this young lady? He was clearly courting death. Have you not dealt with him yet? Cai Xiao turned her beautiful eyes toward Lu Yan. However, with just this casual glance, Lu Yan hurriedly retreated, his body tensing up as his eyes filled with wariness and vigilance. Shall I take care of it? Cai Xiao asked with a gentle smile. Swish. As soon as she finished speaking, even before Mu Chun could respond, Lu Yan immediately shot backward, retreating far beyond the borders of Bone Mountain in the blink of an eye. His swift withdrawal left Mu Chun momentarily stunned. He then couldn't help but curl his lip in disdain. This guy, so afraid of dying. Although Mu Chun would have liked to leave Lu Yan behind, his current state made it a bit difficult, so he didn't stop him and simply allowed Lu Yan to retreat far away. Mu Chun, wait for it, this isn't over. Lu Yan's voice rang out from a distance, filled with anger, before he vanished like a streak of light, not daring to stay any longer. Mu Chun couldn't be bothered to pay attention to him. Instead, he turned his gaze to the other powerful figures outside Bone Mountain. As soon as they met his gaze, they involuntarily stepped back, their eyes filled with fear and caution. After witnessing the earth-shattering battle between Mu Chun and Lu Yan, no one dared to treat him as just a typical third-grade supreme anymore. Is there anyone else who wishes to fight us for the Dragon Phoenix pool? Mu Chen's voice was low as he scanned the crowd. The powerful figures exchanged glances. In the end, they could only grit their teeth and step back. Although Mu Chun and Lu Yan were both exhausted after their fierce battle, there was a far more terrifying and mysterious girl beside Mu Chun, the one who had easily slain Qi Shui, the fearsome serpent. She was the one they feared the most. So, no matter how reluctant they were to part with the Dragon Phoenix pool, in the end, reason triumphed over greed. After all, no matter how marvelous the Dragon Phoenix pool was, it was nothing compared to their own lives. Mu Chun let out a breath of relief when he saw these strong figures retreat. After all, the people here were no ordinary characters. If they had insisted on fighting, it would have caused trouble for them, but now that they had wisely stepped back, it was the best result for both sides. Let's open the Dragon Phoenix pool, Cai Xiao said with a light clap of her hands. Mu Chun nodded. He reached out, and the magic ape he had slain earlier shot toward him. With a swift strike, he severed the ape's bloodline. The blood then flowed like a stream toward the Dragon Phoenix pool. Gurgle, gurgle. The crimson blood quickly spread across the Dragon Phoenix pool, and within a minute, it had submerged half of the pool. The thick scent of blood filled the air. Buzz. As the blood filled the pool, the Dragon Phoenix pool suddenly trembled faintly. The loud roar of the dragon and phoenix echoed from the Dragon Phoenix pool, reverberating through the heavens and the earth. Gleelu. Within the Dragon Phoenix pool, fresh blood began to bubble up like it was boiling, rising in foam. Faintly, in the bone pool, shadows of a dragon and a phoenix seemed to be swimming through the blood. As they moved, the previously thick blood began to rapidly clear up. Impurities were evaporating continuously, and the foul smell of blood gradually disappeared. In just a short time, the Dragon Phoenix pool, once a blood pool, had been transformed into an ethereal, divine pond. A mysterious force quietly emanated from it, causing the space to ripple. Why don't you try it? Cai Xiao, standing beside the Dragon Phoenix pool, smiled at Mu Chun. Are you not joining me? Mu Chen paused. Now that the Dragon Phoenix pool had taken shape, entering it would provide tremendous opportunities. I only need true dragon essence blood, but the one here is a bit thin. Cai Xiao casually replied, then waved her jade hand. A big man like you doesn't need to hesitate. Hurry up. Thanks. Mu Chen gratefully cupped his fists and, without saying much, moved swiftly, preparing to leap into the open Dragon Phoenix pool. Bang! However, just as he made his move, a white bone suddenly exploded at the top of Bone Mountain, sending shards flying in all directions. Among the debris, a blurry black figure seemed to travel through the space, racing towards the Dragon Phoenix pool before Mu Chen. Mu Chen's expression instantly changed, a murderous intent rising in his eyes. Someone was trying to snatch the opportunity from him. Swish! A black light shadow flickered like a ghost, speeding towards the Dragon Phoenix pool. The sudden turn of events clearly stunned Mu Chen, but his reaction was swift. Almost instinctively, he launched his attack, and the Heart Demon lightning immediately erupted from his palm, crackling with invisible thunder. Having experienced countless life-and-death battles over the years, Mu Chen had ingrained battle instincts. So in this brief moment, he didn't use spiritual energy to intercept, but chose the fastest and most unpredictable attack, Netherworld Heart Demon Lightning. Boom! As the shrill sound of thunder rang out, the black shadow's body was immediately engulfed by a dark glow, rapidly devouring the thunderous sound. However, the figure still paused for a moment. That split second of hesitation caused him to lose his final opportunity. Cai Xiao's figure vanished in an instant and appeared right in front of the black shadow. Her slender jade finger struck out like lightning. A soft white light blossomed from her finger, and the space around it rippled before tearing apart. Faced with Cai Xiao's attack, even the black shadow didn't dare to ignore it. He also formed two fingers, dark light surging as cold energy swept out. Bang! The two fingers collided, sending visible shockwaves through the air, and the Dragon Phoenix pool below was stirred up, creating massive waves. Cai Xiao's delicate body trembled and took a step back. Whoosh! The black light shadow was sent flying backward, his toes tapping the air to stabilize himself. The black light faded, and his figure was completely revealed. Around Bone Mountain, all eyes quickly turned towards him, and a chorus of gasps filled the air. That's the Netherworld Prince from the Netherworld Palace. Hearing the gasps from outside Bone Mountain, Mu Chen's gaze sharpened, and he looked up. In midair, a figure dressed in black stood poised. He had long black hair cascading over his shoulders, a strikingly handsome face with an air of coldness, and eyes as sharp as blades, making it feel like one could be pierced by them. He hovered in the sky, his expression indifferent. Even facing Cai Xiao, there was no hint of panic on his face, only calm composure. His bearing was far more refined than Lu Yan's. So it's the Netherworld Prince, ranked second in the Dragon Phoenix record, Mu Chen said, narrowing his eyes. With your status, why resort to such underhanded tactics? Why not do it if the simplest methods bring the greatest rewards? The Netherworld Prince in black chuckled. His blade-like gaze swept over Mu Chen, and he said, Lu Yan isn't one to be taken lightly either. Unfortunately, you still failed as the fisherman, Mu Chen said with a smile, though his eyes were filled with wariness. He could sense an unusually cold aura from the Netherworld Prince. This guy was like a venomous snake in the dark. He would only strike when he was sure of the kill. It is a bit of a pity, the Netherworld Prince nodded, not denying it. He had been hiding here using special methods, waiting for Mu Chen and Lu Yan to exhaust each other, so he could deal with both of them, and then seize the Dragon Phoenix pool. But he hadn't expected the appearance of a powerful figure like Cai Xiao, who completely shattered his plans. His gaze shifted toward Cai Xiao, and he spoke slowly. Who exactly are you? I haven't heard of anyone like you among the younger generation in the northern domain. Cai Xiao, however, showed no intention of answering. She lazily gestured toward Bone Mountain and said, If you don't leave now, it won't be so easy for you to go. The Netherworld Prince's eyes narrowed slightly as he fixed his gaze on Cai Xiao. Deep within his pupils, there seemed to be a dark glow shifting, and the space around him began to twist and distort. Seeing this, Cai Xiao raised her eyebrows slightly. Outside Bone Mountain, many powerful figures were watching with their hearts pounding. If the Netherworld Prince were to fight the mysterious young woman, they might finally have a chance. Although the young woman was formidable, the Netherworld Prince was no easy opponent. Their clash would surely shake the heavens and earth, far surpassing the previous battle between Mu Chen and Lu Yan. A tense atmosphere descended upon the peak of Bone Mountain. Just when everyone thought a world-shaking battle was about to erupt, the fluctuations around the Netherworld Prince suddenly subsided, and he retreated swiftly. Clearly, the Netherworld Prince hadn't been driven into a frenzy by the Dragon Phoenix pool. He understood how difficult it would be to take the pool from the mysterious young woman. Even he could not fully fathom her mystery. As for Mu Chen, the Netherworld Prince didn't see him as much of a threat. Even though Mu Chen had displayed remarkable talent in his previous battle with Lu Yan, it was still not enough to make the Netherworld Prince wary. And since there was no absolute certainty in obtaining the Dragon Phoenix pool, there was no need to linger. Time was precious, after all. There were more than one Dragon Phoenix pools in the Dragon Phoenix heaven. Thus, the Netherworld Prince decisively retreated. Even though his departure drew surprised looks, such external factors couldn't possibly shake him. However, as he left, his sharp, blade-like gaze swept once more over Mu Chen. The coldness in his eyes made Mu Chen feel a chill, but he didn't care too much. The relationship between the Great Luo Heaven Domain and the Netherworld Palace had always been poor. In fact, there was a past incident in which a genius from the Great Luo Heaven was slain by a genius from the Netherworld Palace, causing a massive loss of face for the Great Luo Heaven. The relationship between the two sides was as sour as it could be. So, even without today's events, Mu Chen knew that if they met again, the Netherworld Prince would not hesitate to strike, given any opportunity. Looks like another trouble, Mu Chen muttered. He had just driven Lu Yan away, and now the Netherworld Prince had suddenly appeared. Not to mention, he had offended Feng Yi from the Divine Hall in the Dragon Phoenix Ancient City. Most of the top figures in the Dragon Phoenix record seemed to have been antagonized by him. But Mu Chen just shrugged slightly. After all, with limited opportunities and many competitors, conflicts were inevitable. It was just the way of things. Mu Chen looked in the direction where the Netherworld Prince had disappeared, then glanced at the others who had been stirred by the prince's arrival and were now retreating reluctantly, their eyes full of dissatisfaction. Ignoring these opportunists, Mu Chen gave a light nod to Cai Xiao and, without hesitation, moved forward. In full view of the envious onlookers, he leaped into the mystical, mist-filled Dragon Phoenix pool. Buzz! Mu Chen's figure quickly disappeared into the pool, and soon, thick white mist surged upwards, spreading out to cover the entire peak of Bone Mountain. A strange fragrance spread from the top of Bone Mountain. Anyone who inhaled this peculiar scent felt their spiritual energy stir within them. It was a temptation that seemed to come from the deepest part of their bloodline, making them yearn to merge with it. Many powerful figures' eyes turned bloodshot, but they dared not rush to the top of Bone Mountain. They knew that if they ventured there now, they might be killed on the spot by the mysterious girl. They didn't have the slightest doubt that the girl, who had killed Cai Xiao without hesitation, would show any mercy. While everyone stared at the top of Bone Mountain with longing, Mu Chen was sitting at the deepest part of the Dragon Phoenix pool. The clear water, infused with the blood of the demonic ape, enveloped his body. The gentle sensation quickly healed the wounds he had suffered in his earlier battle with Lu Yan. Even his depleted spiritual energy began to recover at an astonishing rate. Buzz! At the depths of the Dragon Phoenix pool, the pure white bones of the true dragon and true phoenix glowed with ancient light patterns. These patterns detached from the bones, like fish swimming through water, and continuously covered Mu Chen's body. Amidst the ancient light patterns, traces of dark golden blood could be seen. This blood contained immense vitality and was the essence blood left behind by the true dragon and true phoenix. As the light patterns slowly covered his body, his form began to radiate golden light. Outside the Dragon Phoenix pool, Cai Xiao watched the golden light emanating from the pool's bottom. She gently nodded, her eyes confirming that the pool indeed contained the essence blood of the true dragon and true phoenix. However, it still feels a bit thin, she murmured. With a flick of her jade hand, an ancient light pattern was summoned from the pool and floated in front of her. Her hand flashed with seals, and the light pattern transformed into a crystal-clear compass the size of a palm. The ancient light pattern was placed into the compass. The compass vibrated slightly, and its needle pointed directly at the dragon phoenix pool. A white light burst forth from the compass, as if measuring the strength of the pool. "It seems it's really effective," Cai Xiao said with a smile. This compass was crafted from the scales of a true dragon, and it had an incredible ability to sense similar bloodlines across the world. Even through vast distances, it could easily detect them. Now, let's see where the essence blood of the true dragon and true phoenix is most concentrated in Dragon Phoenix Heaven. Cai Xiao formed a seal with her jade hand and gently stroked the compass. It immediately hummed as the needle spun wildly. After several minutes, the needle's movement slowed, and it pointed to the northwest. As the needle pointed in that direction, a brilliant pillar of light shot out from the compass, far stronger than the light of the Dragon Phoenix pool itself. "Found it." Cai Xiao's eyes flickered with surprise, and then a radiant smile spread across her face, stunningly beautiful. Dense white mist covered the summit of Bone Mountain, where the scent of the strange fragrance filled the air. The sounds of dragon roars and phoenix cries echoed through the heavens and earth. Anyone could sense the enormous vitality gathering at the top of Bone Mountain. It was the vitality released after the essence blood left by the true dragon and true phoenix was reactivated by the Dragon Phoenix pool. If one could integrate this energy into their own bloodline, it would undoubtedly be a massive boon for cultivation. However, this opportunity was clearly beyond the reach of ordinary people. Around Bone Mountain, even though it was clear that no one could access the Dragon Phoenix pool anymore, many powerful figures still lingered, unwilling to leave. It was obvious they were reluctant to give up, but despite their reluctance, they lacked the courage to fight for it. So they could only watch from afar, envious but powerless. Time quietly passed, and the mist at the summit of Bone Mountain grew thicker. This scene lasted for nearly half an hour. Suddenly, the white mist on the mountain peak began to roar. Roar! The dragon and phoenix cries reverberated through the air, causing everyone to tremble and look up. A golden pillar of light shot straight into the sky from the peak, visible for 1,000 miles around. Around the golden pillar, golden dragon and phoenix light patterns circled. As they howled, they stirred the winds and clouds, causing an upheaval in the heavens and earth. Even though the true dragon and true phoenix had long since perished, the power of the supreme divine beasts was still evident. However, as the dragon and phoenix patterns circled, they seemed to be in a state of conflict, devouring each other. This scene resembled the mortal battle between the true dragon and true phoenix during ancient times. It appeared that even after their demise, their essence blood still could not merge. The dragon and phoenix patterns clashed for some time, but in the end, the dragon patterns prevailed, completely devouring the phoenix patterns. Once the last phoenix pattern was consumed by the dragon, the dazzling golden pillar of light gradually shrank, eventually disappearing at its source. It was at the bottom of the Dragon Phoenix pool, but by then, the pool had already dried up, as if its power had been completely absorbed. At the pool's bottom, a figure sat in meditation. The figure radiated brilliant golden light, and even their clothes seemed to be made of gold, shining intensely. As the golden dragon patterns touched the figure's body, they quietly entered and merged with him. Roar! The originally pitch-black eyes were now filled with golden light. In the depths of the pupils, it was as if the shadow of a giant dragon was coiling. It appeared exceedingly mysterious, with a powerful sense of oppression emanating from Mu Chen, rapidly spreading outward. Even the incredibly solid floor of the Dragon Phoenix pool cracked open with intricate bone-like patterns. The golden light in Mu Chen's eyes lasted for a while before gradually dissipating. He then moved, directly appearing outside the Dragon Phoenix pool. With his eyes slightly closed, he felt the powerful, wave-like force surging within his body. This force surged through his limbs and bones, like a wild beast that had been unleashed, filled with immense destructive power. This force was even stronger than Mu Chen's 9-rune thunder body. Mu Chen clenched his 5 fingers tightly. He could feel the blood in his body surging, boiling as if it was about to break through the confines of his body and erupt completely. His mind stirred, and the golden light surged once again from beneath his skin. Golden dragon patterns gathered around him, swirling in the air as the sound of dragon roars echoed endlessly. Dragon patterns, huh? Looks like I've obtained the false dragon body. Although the dragon phoenix pool was formed from the bones of true dragons and true phoenixes, containing their essence blood, there was an inevitable conflict when these two forces came into contact. The stronger force would devour the weaker one, and the balance of power depended on whether the true dragon essence blood or the true phoenix essence blood was more concentrated in the pool. But judging by the golden dragon patterns now swirling around me, the answer was clear. The true dragon essence blood was stronger in this pool, otherwise it wouldn't have completely consumed the dragon patterns. However, there were only 32 dragon patterns. Chen stared at the golden dragon patterns swirling around him, his brow furrowing slightly. As far as he knew, the strongest false dragon body should have 99 dragon patterns. Yet, the one he had cultivated only had 32. It seemed that the true dragon and phoenix essence blood contained in this dragon phoenix pool wasn't particularly powerful. Chen shook his head regretfully, but quickly realized that he had been too greedy. Although the false dragon body he had gained only had 32 dragon patterns, its power was undeniable. Just the strength brought by these 32 dragon patterns was far more powerful than the Thunder God body. Moreover, the Dragon Phoenix Heaven had just begun. He still had the chance to acquire more true dragon essence blood, and when that time came, he could make his false dragon body even stronger. Perhaps, in the end, he could evolve it into a true dragon body. The golden dragon patterns around Chen dissipated. If he were to fight Lu Yan now, the latter would likely have a difficult time engaging in a mutually destructive battle with him. Although the Dragon Phoenix pool hadn't significantly boosted Chen's spiritual cultivation, it had raised his combat ability by nearly a level. Is this the false dragon body? A graceful figure appeared next to Chen. Cai Xiao looked him up and down, her beautiful eyes flashing with surprise. She smiled and said, "It does have some unique features, but the sense of incompleteness is too strong. If you could cultivate it into a true dragon body, it would be extremely formidable." Her sharp eyes immediately noticed the vigorous energy within Chen's body. Clearly, that was the life force contained in the true dragon essence blood, which had fused into his blood. While this life force from the true dragon essence blood wouldn't give Chen the vitality of a supreme divine beast, it was certainly much stronger than his human form from before. After all, with Cai Xiao's sharp eye, just a single compliment from her was enough to confirm that the true dragon body was exceptional. Chen smiled, and then glanced at the gradually fading white mist atop Bone Mountain. He asked, "Have you detected any other dragon phoenix pools?" His voice carried a hint of urgency. Only after experiencing the marvel of this dragon phoenix pool could he fully appreciate its uniqueness. As Cai Xiao had said, his false dragon body had too many flaws. These flaws could only be fixed by acquiring enough true dragon essence blood to perfect it. Now, he believed the other 4 dragon phoenix pools must already be fiercely contested. To obtain more true dragon essence blood, he would likely have to search for those dragon phoenix pools that had yet to be discovered. And for that, he clearly had to rely on Cai Xiao. Upon seeing the expectant look in Chen's eyes, a slight smile appeared on Cai Xiao's flawless face. She clenched her delicate hand, and a golden compass appeared in it. As for the dragon phoenix pools, I did indeed find one. Hearing this, Chen's eyes immediately lit up with excitement. However, Cai Xiao paused for a moment, twirling the small compass in her hand. "Things are a little different from what I expected. How? Is the dragon phoenix pool you found weak?" Chen was momentarily stunned, thinking of the worst-case scenario. Exactly the opposite of what you think. Cai Xiao gently shrugged her fragrant shoulders. There was a rare seriousness in her eyes as she said, "The one I found is stronger than you can imagine. If I'm not mistaken, the bones forming that dragon phoenix pool are most likely from the heads of the true dragon and true phoenix." Hiss. Chen was momentarily stunned, then couldn't help but suck in a cold breath, his eyes wide with shock. He immediately understood that for many divine beasts, the head and heart were the most important parts. And now, the dragon phoenix pool they had was clearly formed from rather ordinary bones of the true dragon and true phoenix. The essence blood contained in ordinary skeletal remains is enough to grant a false dragon body with 32 dragon marks. How terrifying. Then, must the dragon phoenix pool be, formed from the skulls of true dragon and true phoenix? It's likely that one wouldn't even need to reach the dragon phoenix altar to cultivate a true dragon physique. Faced with such temptation, even someone as resolute as Mu Chen couldn't help but let his gaze become slightly heated. However, he quickly regained his composure, looked at Cai Xiao, and asked, "It's very dangerous?" Cai Xiao glanced at Mu Chen, whose eyes, though slightly heated, remained clear. She smiled approvingly and nodded slightly. Extremely dangerous. The Guardian there is far more formidable than the demonic ape we encountered before. If you rush in recklessly, you may not come out alive. Mu Chen was taken aback. If even Cai Xiao, with her strength, was so wary, it was clear that the area around the Super Dragon Phoenix pool was an extremely dangerous and high-risk zone. What's your plan? Mu Chen furrowed his brow and fixed his gaze on Cai Xiao. Cai Xiao gently stroked the colorful little snake coiled on her shoulder, smiling warmly enough to captivate a nation. Naturally, I'm going. There's something there that little Cai really needs, so I must take the risk. She smiled at Mu Chen. But you don't have to follow me. The other 4 Dragon Phoenix pools are likely still being contested. If you hurry, you may be able to secure one. It really is dangerous. Mu Chen helplessly shrugged. If even someone as mysterious as Cai Xiao was so cautious, the danger was undeniable. Perhaps, as she suggested, it might be more rational for him to seize one of the other 4 Dragon Phoenix pools instead. However, leaving her to face the peril alone while he took the benefits for himself was something he couldn't do. So, Mu Chen slightly raised his face, a bright smile blooming on his youthful, handsome features. The smile was so dazzling it almost hurt the eyes. Then, with a grin, he shook his head in the face of Cai Xiao's slightly stunned expression. I'll go with you. Above the vast sky, an ancient aura pervaded, and the white clouds, seemingly tainted by that aura, became thick and heavy, hanging motionless in the sky like something out of a painting. It gave off a mysterious and obscure feeling. Whoosh! 2 streaks of light suddenly cut through the sky, tearing the thick clouds into 2. In the blink of an eye, the streaks disappeared into the horizon. The speed was so fast that it drew the attention of several intruders in Dragon Phoenix Heaven, who were searching for rare treasures and spirit jewels. Although everyone noticed the powerful spiritual energy fluctuations radiating from the 2 streaks, no one dared to obstruct them easily. The 2 streaks of light, of course, were Mu Chen and Cai Xiao, having secured a Dragon Phoenix pool and swiftly leaving. However, their current goal wasn't the other 4 Dragon Phoenix pools, but the so-called Super Dragon Phoenix pool that Cai Xiao had detected. Despite the extreme danger Cai Xiao had mentioned, Mu Chen still chose to accompany her. How much farther? As they sped through the air, Mu Chen approached Cai Xiao, his voice wrapped in spiritual energy reaching her. They had been flying for nearly half a day, a considerable distance. 2 hours. Cai Xiao replied. Mu Chen couldn't help but click his tongue at her answer. He could feel that they were entering an increasingly remote area of Dragon Phoenix Heaven. The ancient, untouched forest that stretched endlessly clearly had never been trodden by human feet, and the presence of fierce exotic beasts was growing stronger and more violent. Suddenly, Cai Xiao extended her jade hand and grasped Mu Chen's wrist. The cool, delicate touch emanated a faint glow, forming a light shield that enveloped both of them. From here on, we'll likely encounter many beasts with extremely keen senses. Even though you can conceal your spiritual energy, you might still be detected, so let me take the lead, Cai Xiao said, glancing at Mu Chen. Mu Chen nodded. In such a place, avoiding detection was the wisest choice. If they were surrounded by the countless exotic beasts, even if they could break free, it would definitely impact their plans. Whoosh! The faint glow surrounding them suddenly surged in speed, shooting through the sky like a beam of light. In the next 2 hours, Mu Chen finally experienced the dangers of Dragon Phoenix Heaven. As they traveled along the path, Mu Chen could feel numerous scanning-like fluctuations sweeping across the sky, even sweeping back and forth over their bodies. These were the detections from some extraordinary beasts with remarkable perception, and the probing was extremely subtle. If it weren't for Cai Xiao's intervention, relying solely on Mu Chen's own spiritual energy shielding, it would likely have been difficult to avoid them. This ancient area was clearly no ordinary place. Although the road was filled with dangerous beasts, it was ultimately uneventful. After 2 hours passed, Cai Xiao gradually slowed her pace, indicating they had reached the core of this remote region. Once they entered the core area, Mu Chen's expression grew notably more serious. He could sense an ancient oppressive force lingering in the air, a pressure so palpable it slowed the flow of the air and even made spiritual energy feel heavier. The forests and mountains here were significantly shorter than in other areas, likely due to the ancient oppressive force that enveloped the land. "It looks like we didn't come to the wrong place," Cai Xiao said with a smile as she looked around. The presence of such a pure and ancient pressure in the world confirmed the existence of the legendary super dragon phoenix pool in this area. But it seems there are no beasts here. Mu Chen frowned. It was only now that he noticed an eerie silence in the region. He didn't feel any fluctuations of spiritual energy from any beasts. It felt almost like a dead zone. "Because no beast dares enter here." Cai Xiao nodded, then pointed toward the deepest part of the area. "Let's go." The Super Dragon Phoenix Pool should be at the very heart of this region. Be cautious, though. It's probably not simple. Mu Chen nodded, and the two of them took off again, their bodies tense, surrounded by the flow of spiritual energy, ready to respond to any unexpected situations. However, when they reached the deepest part, they were surprised to find no obstructions. They leapt over a solitary peak, and their vision suddenly expanded. Both of them instantly had their pupils contract. Before them was a shattered expanse of land, revealing a deep sky pit that stretched tens of thousands of feet into the earth. Its blackness was so intense it was impossible to see the bottom, resembling a dark hole inhabited by a demon. Just looking at it made their scalps tingle. Of course, what shocked Mu Chen and Cai Xiao the most was not the dark sky pit, but the two massive figures floating above it. These two figures were both a pale white, tinged with streaks of dark gold. A terrifying, fierce aura emanated from them. They were the colossal heads of a dragon and a phoenix. The two gigantic heads were almost as large as mountains. They were currently ferociously biting each other, and the ferocity of their battle was so intense that even after turning to bones and being weathered by millennia, the violence seemed to transcend time and space. Hiss! Mu Chen inhaled sharply, his eyes full of shock. It really is the head of the true dragon and true phoenix. The bone mountain made of the skeletal remains of the true dragon and true phoenix that he had encountered earlier seemed insignificant compared to this sight. It was like the difference between a firefly and the bright moon. Although they were still some distance away from the dragon and phoenix heads, the overwhelming dominance of their presence still swept through like a storm, making Mu Chen's breath falter. Cai Xiao's eyes locked onto the dragon and phoenix heads. With a graceful movement, she surged forward. Seeing this, Mu Chen hurried to follow. They quickly approached the floating dragon and phoenix heads. As they neared, they could clearly feel the visual shock of the scene. The fierce aura from the dragon and phoenix tearing into each other was overwhelming. One could imagine how earth-shattering their battle must have been in the ancient era. These were two terrifying beings, comparable to the Heavenly Supreme. Where is the Dragon Phoenix Pool? Mu Chen scanned the area, searching for their goal. Cai Xiao extended her delicate, fair finger, pointing at the place where the dragon's and phoenix's jaws met. There, barely visible, was a bone pool. Within that bone pool, however, it was not empty. The pool was filled with golden water that bubbled up, and as the water churned, dragon and phoenix light patterns rose from within. A strong and unbreakable exotic fragrance slowly spread through the air. As soon as Mu Chen inhaled the scent, even his blood seemed to stir restlessly. Golden light erupted around him, and the false dragon physique he had cultivated was uncontrollably activated. Mu Chen exhaled deeply, forcibly suppressing the turmoil within his body. He hadn't anticipated that this dragon phoenix pool would have such a powerful attraction to his false dragon physique. Compared to this dragon phoenix pool, the one he had obtained earlier seemed insignificant. This dragon phoenix pool isn't the most valuable thing here, Cai Xiao suddenly said, her beautiful eyes shifting toward the pool. From her position, She could clearly see where the dragon and phoenix teeth intersected, locked in a deep, tearing struggle. Mu Chen's gaze followed hers, and his expression froze. There, golden light surged, revealing a small golden sapling growing from the skeletal remains of the true dragon and true phoenix. Though the sapling was small, its trunk was as solid as a coiling dragon. On the golden sapling, 3 golden lights flickered, and through them, 3 golden fruits were visible. The fruits were extraordinary, each depicting an entwining dragon and phoenix, merging and intertwining into a single mystical fruit, a dragon phoenix fruit. 2 of the fruits appeared fully ripe, while the third seemed recently born, still immature and lacking the profound energy of the other 2. Nevertheless, all 3 dragon phoenix fruits were priceless treasures. Mu Chen's gaze was fiery as he stared at the fruits. He could feel it, their true value. These 3 dragon phoenix fruits were likely the best treasures in this place, containing the pure essence of the true dragon and true phoenix. Compared to them, even the super dragon phoenix pool seemed somewhat inferior. Those are dragon phoenix divine fruits, treasures born from the perfect fusion of true dragon and true phoenix essence blood, Cai Xiao said with a smile, her eyes sparkling with surprise as she gazed upon the rare treasure. Even with her composure, she couldn't hide her excitement. Mu Chen licked his lips, about to step forward, but suddenly his expression froze. His gaze shot toward the dragon phoenix pool, where the golden waters were rippling. A water column shot into the sky, then split apart, and a golden shadow erupted from within, tearing through space as it descended with a crushing palm aimed directly at Mu Chen. The palm was like the roar of a dragon, enough to shake the heavens. The terrifying pressure came down like Mount Tai, overwhelming Mu Chen. His face changed, but before he could react, Cai Xiao stepped forward. Her colorful spiritual energy exploded like a dazzling burst of light, and her delicate jade-like hand moved like lightning, meeting the golden palm head-on. Boom! The clash of the 2 palms sent shockwaves through the space, distorting it as the visible ripples spread wildly. Amid the chaos, Cai Xiao's body shook slightly, and she was forced back by more than 10 steps. Mu Chen's eyes widened. This was the first time he had seen Cai Xiao falter.